Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you are. I am sitting down and chatting to Mike Pocock. Mike Pocock, how you doing, man?
Hello, hello. How's everything your side?
Alrighty, cool, man. How you surviving lockdown?
Yeah, surviving. It's been good. It's been extremely busy, which I'm very, very grateful for. And just adapted to everything and yeah, just rocking and rolling as per usual.
Good man, good man. Red Bull. So how did that come about?
Oh geez, are we kicking off with
Yeah,
that?
we're gonna kick straight with Red Bull. We're gonna talk about Rumours. We're gonna talk about Brochella. We're gonna talk about ETV. We're gonna talk about David Gresham. We're gonna talk about Southern
Okay.
Pulse. We're gonna talk about the SAMMAs. So yeah, let's kick off with Red Bull. How did you get that?
So yeah, I mean, it actually stems from ETV. My boss at the time at ETV, she actually left ETV, and I was still there, and she gave me a call last year and just asked, yeah, if I'd be interested in coming there, to work in the culture side, and went through everything, and yeah, that's how I'm there. So it really is about maintaining the connections and keeping the good relationships with people. You never know when they pop back into your life. And her name's Matla. She's very, very cool, great person. Learned a hell of a lot from her, and she got me the gig there. And I mean, I had known quite a few people who worked at Red Bull as well, so I mean, it was a very easy fit.
I mean,
So
it's not a small brand. I mean, we're talking, Jesus.
no, it's definitely not. And I mean, it's probably one of the coolest brands to work for, because we just do such cool shit all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky to be there and very grateful for it. They have great infrastructure, in South Africa and across the world. And I think it's been very cool to work with the artists that I've worked with, and also just connect with the global team, and just learn a hell of a lot from them as well. It's been an amazing experience. And I've been there for about a year now, and you learn something new every day there, which is, I think, probably the most rewarding aspect of working at a brand like that.
So what are the perks? Let's dive straight in and go straight to
Well,
the perks. Besides having Red Bull, which is a great perk.
Red Bull, which is a perk. I think it's you get to really see the insights of how everything works. I work very closely with the Red Bull studios down in Cape Town, so I go down there quite often. Obviously, before lockdown, I was there quite often, and we used to do, we've put on shows in the studio. We've done really cool stuff with some key artists and athletes. And there's just every day, there's just such cool projects, that you just kind of dive yourself into, and you get to know the artists, you get to know the teams that work with the artists as well. And it's really, really just every day is something new and something exciting. And I think that's probably the most rewarding part about it, is that we're very innovative. And the coolest part is that they're very open to new ideas all the time. And how do we get the product out there? How do we associate with the coolest projects that we possibly can? And it's definitely broadened my scope on a lot of things. Working predominantly before in the rock alternative metal scene, I can definitely take a lot of learnings from working with the DJs and hip hop artists.
Yeah.
And you learn a hell of a lot of how things operate, and just how diverse our music scene is in South Africa. It's insane. So yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest perk, is just working with super awesome people, working with specialists and experts in their fields, learning from them, and just getting the product out there, and when I say product, I don't just mean the actual can. I mean, whatever we're working on, whether it be a show or
Yeah.
I'm very lucky where I work across the music and dance aspects, and then also the gaming and social innovation as well.
I mean, it's
And
it's a it's a mega, like I said earlier, it's a mega brand, but it's also a very youthful brand.
yeah,
It's,
yeah,
it's aimed
it's
at the youthful
across.
market, isn't it?
Yeah, always has been, and always will be. I think what we try to be an aspirational brand, like a premium brand that people want to be associated with, and also something which people can. Well, I just said aspire to be a part of, and also just something that relates to the youth, and something that we can speak to them on on things that they want to talk about and want to be a part of.
Yeah, it's a multi-level brand, really.
Yeah. I mean, I won't go too much into like the inner workings and everything, but it's we all work together, all different departments. So from what you see in like your gas stations and everything, it works into the media network side. And we develop media partnerships with like your key media, such as SABC, Channel O, those guys. And yeah, it's a constant roller coaster, and I love every minute of it.
I was going to say, I mean, I was saying to the warden earlier, my wife, that not anybody just gets in at Red Bull. You've got to, graft. And earn your stripes to get in there.
Yeah, I feel like all the work that was done in previous years over the last 12 years of my professional career have kind of led up to this, and obviously learned from the mistakes made, and work on and bringing the experience that you have from past things.
Don't you just love the rumor mill that goes around? Oh, Red Bull has this in it and Red Bull has that in it. Oh
gosh.
Should we talk about, does it actually have bull semen in it?
No. No. But what I think people mistaken it for is the taurine, which is an amino acid that is naturally produced by everybody. It's naturally produced by everybody. Everybody has taurine in them. What the product has is obviously more of that, and the reason why that rumor, and I'll dispel this rumor right now, the reason for that rumor is that in the bull's bowls, it does have like a high concentration of that amino acid,
right?
So that's where it comes from, but it's not from that.
But it's not actually in the can, so there we go.
No. Gosh, no,
just because there's a bull on it, a picture, image of two bulls on it. Yeah, there you go.
No, they really, it's a rumor, and it's just something I have to dispel. I mean, it's the same as I can say that one can of Red Bull has just as much caffeine as a normal cup of coffee. It does. It's the sugar as well. If you're looking at the product, is the sugar is just as much as a cup of apple juice.
Yeah, so there you go.
So it's
good for you.
It is. It's good for you. It revitalizes
Red Bull. It's good
revitalizes body and mind. Gives you wings.
Can you imagine your next advertising slogan? Red Bull. It's good for you. Jesus, can you just imagine the backlash?
I know everybody has. I mean, each their own. Everybody has their take on energy drinks, but my side is more working on the music and the fun stuff. So,
the fun side of it, not handling lawsuits and rumors and all that sort of crap.
Oh yeah.
I'd imagine it's because it's such a high profile brand that anybody's looking to topple the king, right?
Yeah, I mean I would say that it's always in the public eye. And I've worked on many
easy
projects.
Target.
Yeah, and I mean I've worked on many projects which have come under scrutiny. Not at Red Bull. I mean I'm just saying at other things before that. But it's at the end of the day, it's a great brand, and if you like it, keep on supporting it.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. Red Bull. Keep drinking Red Bull. It gives you wings. Let's talk about Brochella, because this is going to take, I would imagine, quite a fair chunk of our conversation. Brochella was, it still is, a live event. I love the way you put this. Towelboy Fluffer at Brochella.
That's my self-appointed position there.
Right.
No, I mean, Brochella is something which was basically spawned out of a drunken night at Rumours many years ago. About 3 years ago. 2017 was our first one, and the way it came about was that we had when I was still playing in State Society, it was about January, end of January, and we hadn't been booked for any of like your major Easter festivals yet. And I basically we were having a band meeting at Rumours, which is not always the most clever thing to do, because there's loads of beer flowing and everything. But luckily it happened that night, because that's what led to the birth of Brochella. And I mean, basically what I said to the guys was like, it doesn't look like we're going to get booked for a splashy or a lush festival or something like that. So Fred is the owner of Rumours, and he said, well, why don't you guys just put something on on the Easter weekend, we have the date open. So why doesn't State Society just do their own thing? And I was like, yeah, no, that's cool. We can play a show, but like, how can we like do something that's a bit, not just a State Society and Friends type of show? Like, let's make it something else. So we were thinking of names and for this little festival, call it that. I mean, club festival. I mean, the names that were coming out in our beer-ridden states were just ridiculous. And I'll never forget, like what was really big at that time was Coachella.
Right.
Like Coachella was just, everyone was talking about it, even though it's not a festival that's in South Africa that nobody can go to.
Yeah.
I think like the 1% can afford to go to it. So I just said, like, why don't we just do something like Brochella? And everyone laughed, and I laughed, Fred laughed, my bandmate laughed, and then we kind of ended the conversation there. And about 2 days later, Mashant, our guitarist, who was also, he did like, all the graphic design and logos, he actually made a logo of Brochella using the like Coachella font.
Coachella, yeah.
And he sent it to me, and he's like, what do you think of this? I'm like, oh shit, so we actually are doing this.
It actually fucking works. Let's roll with it.
So that's how it happened. And I mean, I'll call that first festival like kind of like the festival rejects because none of the bands on there got booked to play Splashy or Lush or any other Easter festival. But, in that scene, I know those festivals were going through a bit of a transition, in the type of acts they were booking, which is, absolutely fine. And we actually had a really cool lineup. It was Lone Hill Estate actually headlined it. I'm just trying to think back. It was State Society. We had about 9 bands on it across 2 stages.
Wow.
And it was a real success. I really thought it was success. Everybody only had good things to say about it. So that's kind of how it started.
Okay. See, beer helps people think.
See, exactly. So I mean, that's kind of how it all started. And and then once it was done, we thought, well, what's the next big thing that could happen? And Halloween was the next event. So we did Brochella Halloween. And I mean, I think we announced it like a week after the first one. And that was also very, very cool. It was a little bit of a more diverse lineup. We had Daisies, Muse, Jasper Dan, Shut Up It's Sunday.
Oh, okay.
I'm just trying to remember, Albino Beach. And it was cool. Like it went a little bit, I don't want to say darker, but a little bit like heavier than the first one. And it was also a very cool success. I mean, we had major competition on the night. It was the same night that Alien Ant Farm were playing in Joburg town. So we had major competition up against against them. And but the show was cool, and it was actually State Society's last show. That show was actually our last show. So so I just remembered now. So it was a special event for me. And what I really loved about it is that the bands really played their part. They dressed up, and the people that came through dressed up, and it was cool. So I mean,
awesome, man.
So I mean that's the birth of it in a nutshell.
Okay, so that's the birth of Brochella in a nutshell. Okay, so is Brochella still a thing? With the whole COVID lockdown thing.
Look, we still exist. If you put it, if that's what you're asking, we still exist.
Yeah.
I think obviously after last year, last year was a tough year for events, and especially for us, a good but tough year. And we actually did have plans already for this year in place before the end of last year.
Right.
And obviously COVID came and conquered, and still conquering, and halted the plans. What we were lucky that the show we were going to do at the beginning of May, we hadn't announced yet. So we were lucky in that regard. We were looking at doing a electronic lineup at Platteland.
Okay.
Something a bit different for us. And I think that alludes to, a tough year last year was putting us in a bit of a change of a direction.
Right.
And we were looking at doing a show along of that nature, but unfortunately it just couldn't come to fruition because of the current situation. We decided for this year that we're not going to be doing any events this year.
Okay.
Just the nature of it is too tough. And you know what, I feel like the promoters that are planning and are doing things are doing a really, really cool job. And I decided, took the decision that this year we're not going to do anything as Brochella. A break is never a bad thing, and also just kind of realign on what we want to do. I mean, we have been talking to some international bands that are very, very keen to come to South Africa, but obviously we can't make any plans until we know when our borders will open, which right now it's looking like only like February 2021.
I was just going to say,
yeah. I mean, I give it up to the guys who are still planning to do things this year, because it's a very tough situation, and I think it's something that I really commend them for, fighting the good fight. And I'll always be their support. So Brochella's there in the supporting capacity, where we will, still support our other friends who are promoters, and also just our friends who are bands as well, who are doing really, really cool things through this period.
You say other people who are promoters, but what is Brochella then? Brochella is just a live event organizer?
Yeah, I mean, we'd say we're a promoter as well. Well, that's how I see it. But I mean, we put on events. We're a live event organizer.
I guess the plus side is that you don't actually have a location. You kind of float around. So there's no overheads as such.
No. I mean, we're lucky enough to have Fred and Vessel from Rumours, who really support us in what we do, and they always give us the venue, and they always support us with the best infrastructure, and
are they going to survive?
Really assist us. Yeah, no, they will. Okay, I actually saw them over the weekend. And I shouldn't be seeing people with social distancing.
You saw them from a distance. It's fine.
Yeah. And no, everything's going to be fine. They will survive. They're going to come out of the strong. And, they've been one of the real stalwarts in terms of a venue that has supported bands from all over the country, that will come out of it. And I feel will be stronger than what they were.
Good. Well, that sounds positive, at least for the scene. So I was going to say, what does it take to bring a international band in? Don't have to mention names. Yeah. Okay. Don't mention band names or anything like that. But give us a ballpoint figure of how does it start? Put it that way. Let's run through the whole thing.
Look, you basically need to connect with their manager / agent or their agent, and try and build a good relationship with them. What we were very lucky is that we partnered with Ram on the first international that we did, which was Icy Stars.
Right.
And we really developed a good relationship with their agent, who represents a host of other bands. And the cool thing about it is that once you have one successful international, event under your belt, you can go to other agents of other bands and say, look, we're from South Africa, we've done this. And what I think people need to realize is that these agents all talk to each other.
Yeah.
And they, I think every single band wants to come to South Africa. And it is tough because of where we are in the world. Flights are expensive from wherever they are coming from, whether it be Australia, Europe, the UK, the States. It's expensive.
Yeah.
And you develop a relationship with them, and sometimes they cut a good deal, sometimes you got to pay the full fee and everything. But
give us a ballpoint figure what it would cost. Let's say a stage B band that's making sort of like waves in Europe.
I mean, it's hard because it all depends on the band and depends on the exchange rate. But I could be sorely misquoted here, but you're looking in the region of 150,000 rand.
Motherfucker.
Whoa. When I give that figure, it takes a lot into consideration. There's the overall that's kind of like an overall figure of including flights and accommodations,
and so on. Yeah.
The flights.
Riders. You see, now this is what I want to get into. What are the weirdest? What is some of the weirdest riders you've ever seen?
Okay. In terms of riders, I actually haven't seen anything too weird from the internationals that we've hosted. It's been pretty standard stuff. A lot of them are very negotiable on it. One thing I could say is they love Castle Light when they get here.
Really?
They love it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
that's weird.
And yeah, and I think one of the weirdest riders I've ever seen is one that I've put together myself for a local artist I used to manage.
Okay.
And the only reason we used to do it was to see whether the promoters actually did read the riders.
Okay, and what was it?
So it was a tour with an artist who was an ex-Idols winner, and we went to a show in Swaziland to go play at a festival there,
Right.
and it was called the Semen Festival. It was huge. It was about 20,000 people.
Okay.
On the rider, it had the standard. I remember it had like, a case of Amstel, a case of water, like whatever, food and everything. But right at the bottom, we had 1 2-liter cream soda with the top cut off and 4 straws. And no one had ever provided that for us at any show except for the one in Swaziland. They actually had this cut off fucking thing of cream soda. But the bad part is, like, we didn't know what to do with it when we got it. You don't want to be rude and not have it.
Throw it down the sink while nobody's watching or something.
So yeah, I could say that's probably one of the weirdest. I haven't really come across weird things. I hear stories of, like, these big internationals saying they want like fucking 12 white warm towels and shit like that. And it does happen, but I've never really come across that. One actually. I can't lie.
Go on. This better be good.
No, this is amazing. So I was working on the Snoop Dogg tour a while back. I think it was 2012. And working on that show, and like on his hospitality rider was KFC, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, like a whole selection of shit. Jesus. But obviously in South Africa, we don't have Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And I don't think we had Pizza Hut back then. So you get the next best, you negotiate with management, you get the next best alternative.
Yes.
But Taco Bell is like non-existent. Not many people know about it. So basically you had to get people to go buy the actual research how to make Taco Bell things, have the ingredients and make it as closely as you possibly can. But I mean, this is for one guy, and I don't think he ate any of it. So
wow, how much did you smoke to warrant that kind of rider?
Oh jeez, it was a hot box. It was a hot box, but really awesome guy.
KFC
really awesome
Hotbox.
management.
That's why he wanted the KFC.
Yeah, but a really awesome guy, and his management and security were amazing, and it was fun. It was definitely one of like my top experiences.
Wow, that is so cool. So I mean, to get a band out here, it's a lot of fucking work. I mean, particularly if they're a list band, I would imagine. Like let's say, okay, I'm gonna just throw this in there. I've spoken to you before about like bands I get excited about, and like, God, out here. Come on, Mike, you got to do something. Little do I know exactly what goes behind the scenes to actually get a band in. I mean, but we're not going to talk about that particular band, but let's just say like a top A-line band, like let's say Megadeth. To get Megadeth out here, I shudder to think what the process would be.
Yeah, it's insane. It's really, really a long process, put it that way. Finding the right time, because you remember what you got to take into account is when the bands are coming from other countries, it takes a lot longer to travel here. And a lot of them want the direct flights, which is sometimes just not possible.
Is that why they like the whole Australasian leg and then they fly to South Africa?
Yeah, or going from Australia and stop in South Africa and then to Europe.
Right.
And kind of like the middle, vice versa. It really comes down to routing. But, the funny thing is, like with the Tiller and Icy Stars, as an example, they flew from the States to here and back. It wasn't part of like a bigger tour. But they did have like the flights were like 30 hours because they did have layovers in Germany and, other countries in between. So, I mean, it all depends on the band. And I find that the younger bands are more open to that than the older guys who just want to come direct. Think about it. They've been doing it for years and years. And the cool thing is a lot of the younger bands, they're very easygoing on some of the logistical stuff. Like, some of them don't mind sharing rooms with each other. They don't mind traveling all in like one van. And, some of them are very, very easygoing. A lot of them, the older guys definitely want, their own rooms and, nice hotels and direct flights. And
I mean, if you had to do a thumb suck, say, let's use Megadeth again. If you had to thumb suck, how much do you reckon that would cost?
I don't even want to go there. I mean, it's going to be a few million rand.
Whoa,
I'm not betting it's going to
really?
be a few million
Wow.
rand to pull that off.
Wow.
Um,
Shit.
And you know what the funny thing is that it actually won't be so much their like actual performance fee, which I have no idea how much it is, but I mean, I imagine it's, a few $100,000, let's say $100,000 hypothetically. But remember that a band like Megadeth, there's 4 guys in the band, but then, they probably have 4 or 5 crew members as well that come on top of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're looking at a touring party of like 10 people.
And then, of course, their families and so on and so on.
Well, that's
like they did with
their own
Kings of
cost.
Chaos, isn't it? I mean, they brought out their families and they went on like a mini tour of South Africa and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I mean that's
Shit,
cool
that's
for them. I
expensive.
think it is expensive, and I don't want to talk on behalf of promoters who have dealt with them and
Sure,
everything.
of course
I mean,
not.
we never really go into those. Actually, we never go into those kinds of numbers, but. I can only imagine how much it costs, and I give it up to them for taking the risks on that.
Because I mean the returns. Jesus! How do you? Wow! Is that why tickets are so expensive?
It is a big part of it. It is a big part of
how do you recoup your costs? Though? I mean, if you're spending $200,000 and bringing a European up and coming band, how do you recoup your costs? Is it merchant? It can't be merchandise because that goes to the band, surely.
Yeah, no, the merchandise does go to the band. A lot of a few. It all depends on the deal. Like, I mean, I've heard of deals where internationals go into a deal with the local promoter, and the local promoter then gets the merchandise locally manufactured, and they obviously upfront the costs and things like that. I mean, that's what we did with IC Stars. Actually, is that we actually got their merchandise printed here in South Africa. So they didn't have to bring it with.
And where they from?
Just took Michigan.
Okay. So
Detroit,
USA.
Michigan, yeah. So, I mean, they didn't bring any merchandise with them. We basically got it locally printed here, and they sold. I mean, it basically all sold out on the tour, but they took back whatever, and then we sorted out the finances after that.
It still boggles my mind, Dan. Jesus.
Yeah, it's different with every band. I'm finding that a lot of the internationals that come here get their merchandise locally manufactured here. They don't actually bring it with them.
You see, I'm a stickler because I would love to have internationally printed merchandise.
No. I'm exactly the same. I'm very fussy when it comes to merch.
I don't go to any. Well, fuck, I can't even tell you the last gig was probably Metallica in London or something like that. But I when I go to a show like that, I like to go and get like 1 T-shirt, maybe 2 T-shirts, and buy whatever the hell they've got on offer, as long as it's internationally pressed and not locally pressed. Not that I'm saying that the quality would differ. Like when you buy a CD, you don't want the South African printed version. You want the the American or the
you want the
international.
Import.
The import. Yeah.
I mean, I could definitely tell that I've been going through my CD collection over this lockdown, and I can definitely tell which digipacks are imports and which are manufactured locally. Like,
what do you do with the local stuff? Do you're like no, let's replace it with the international one?
I've actually done that before. To be completely honest,
that must be expensive.
It is expensive. I still collect CDs, believe it or not. Whenever I see the music I want is just not available at like a Musica. Well, Musica stopped. Actually, they don't even count. They don't sell CDs anymore. They sell top 40 trash. So
does Musica still exist? Fucking
it actually does. It's a gaming. Wow. It's a gaming and lifestyle store now. More like. But I really shouldn't say these things about them because they actually. Musica was a big reason why I had a salary in the beginning of my career. So I shouldn't say these things.
Okay, so. Watch out. Okay, what did
you do? It's a state. No, well, it wasn't really working for Musica. When I was at David Gresham, they were a big supporter. Of
there we go. There's a good segue. David Gresham
that wasn't intentional, by the way.
That's perfectly flowed into David Gresham. So how did that come about then?
Yeah, that's an interesting story. I mean, I think I was destined to become, according to my family, a fucking chartered accountant, and just was not interested at all. Like,
not gonna happen, folks. Not gonna happen.
I'm quite good with numbers, but I don't like numbers. But when I was studying a degree in international marketing management, and I think in my 3rd year, I remember saying to myself, like, I want to work in the music and all entertainment industry, but I, you know, was behind the scenes and everything. And because I was under pressure at that point to like, you know, you need to get an internship at like fucking Tiger Brands or something, you know, like one of these big things. And I was like, okay. But then I actually contacted David Gresham Records. I knew nobody there. I actually didn't know anyone in the music scene. Like I thought I did at that point, but I knew no one. And I contacted David Gresham. I wrote some long ass soppy email. And at that point, I was living in Cape Town at Varsity. And I remember sending the email, and about a day later, Andrew Mishley there got back to me saying, you know, yes, we do have an intern program. You know, would you be interested, and so on. And I was like, yeah, but the issue is that they were up in Joburg. I was in Cape Town. So this was the first issue. So this happened about November. And I actually remember flying up to Joburg. I actually saved money, flew up to Joburg to go meet them. And I went to their office and I was all fucking starry-eyed, wide-eyed, like, oh my gosh, I'm actually going to like a record company.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say it was an interview. It was more like just a meet and greet. And they said to me, cool, well, whenever you're ready to come, let us know. Now, this was the beginning of the year. This was beginning of like 2007. So flew back down to Cape Town and was just starting to prep. And like my goal was to start working for David Gresham Records by the middle of the year, start interning for them. And you won't believe it. It's actually we're recording this on the 8th of June. It was 13 years ago today that I moved to Joburg. Yeah.
Damn, look at that.
I started on my first day. This wasn't planned, actually.
Wow.
So while we're recording this, I've been in Joburg for 13 years.
Wow. You miss Cape Town at all?
I do a lot, but luckily with work, with the current job, I do go down there quite often. So
awesome.
It's great. Obviously, I haven't been down there recently because we can't fucking fly anywhere.
We can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
I guess so. Back to David Gresham. So what was the first day like?
It was nerve-wracking because you know it was kind of like my first like real job. I mean, I'd been a waiter. I'd worked at like a music shop beforehand, but nothing like like proper office hours. You have to dress right and shit like that.
Yeah.
And I remember the first task I was given was just to literally rip CDs onto a hard drive to prep them to be sold as MP3s. Now, this is like before the days of like when iTunes was like a big thing and everything. We had a thing called Max MP3.
Wow.
And it was doing that. And then I was just basically like the skivvy boy.
Yeah.
Like that's what I did. I just did whatever the fuck they needed me to, like fold envelopes, get shit photocopied. It was really starting from the bottom of the piss bowl.
Yeah.
But I learned a hell of a lot. I was in all the A&R sessions. I was in all the marketing meetings, and it was, and I think the coolest part is that I was working with all like my favorite artists at the time, because Gresham back then was representing Roadrunner Records.
Ooh,
and that was the main reason that actually drew me to Gresham. Was like, I was like, fuck yeah, this is like, it's Slipknot, Soulfly, Nickelback and everything. And I love Nickelback. I don't give a shit what anybody else says. So I honestly don't care.
We don't talk about nickel shit on this podcast. No,
I'm going to mention their name, but what was really cool, what I discovered when I started working there, was that they also did Victory Records and Trustkill Records and Equal Vision Records as well for South Africa. So it was just like a whole array of like cool bands I was working with. And like, basically my job was to, this was the days when Blunt magazine was still around, and they were like, based in Durban. So we would get like boxes of samples from all the labels overseas, and you'd stuff them in an envelope and post them down to Blunt for reviews and everything. And eventually, I think I was interning for 2 months, and a job position of sales rep came open. So I didn't even apply for it. I just got it.
Wow.
And, that to me was a very great learning experience, because I actually got to go to every single store in Gauteng. And this back in the day, Look and Listen, Musicas, and Jive Records, and shit. was the other one. Top CD, phase 2 CDs. Remember, like, I'm talking the heyday when CDs were still a thing.
Yeah.
And basically, I would go and sell the albums to the stores.
Right. Okay.
But it was great because I really got to know the guys at retail level. I got to meet the right decision makers who were actually buying the albums to be in the stores, you know.
Okay.
So it was fascinating to learn that, and I got to learn about a whole bunch of new music, what's selling, what's working, and everything. And I was very lucky to work in that aspect of things. So when CDs, it was the heyday of CDs, you know.
Yeah.
And album sales. Then I did that for about 4 months, and then our PR, Morgan Ross, she works at Universal now, she was moving on to, I think it was Electromode at the time, and her position became available, and I didn't apply for it. It just kind of, they asked me, would you be interested in doing it? And I did it. So, you know, in the space of 6 months, I started from intern to sales rep to the PR manager at Gresham. So
within 6 months.
Yeah, it was within 6 months.
Holy fucking shitballs.
So it was a very fast transition, and I learned a hell of a lot in a very, very short space of time.
Steep learning curve, yeah.
Yeah, it was. I was really getting thrown in deep end, but I loved every minute of it. And I remember, and then it was cool because I got to work really closely with our local artists then, such as, the guy we had signed One Day Remains then. I got Lady Leah was signed with us. I didn't really work with Prime Circle. I was kind of joined on the tail end of their deal, but I still got to do some things with them. Natty Nice was a big artist. Jesse Clegg I was there when Jesse Clegg got signed for the first time. And it was a great 4-5 years of my life where I learned a hell of a lot on the record industry.
Yeah. And you obviously rubbed shoulders with Mr. Gresham himself.
Yeah, no, David was awesome. David is probably the most knowledgeable person in this country on how the record labels work. And I still keep in touch with the guys from David Gresham, and it's great to see the cool things that they're doing.
I was just going to ask, are they still going and everything? They're still the thing.
Yeah, and quite strongly. I think one also the biggest learnings I got from there was how the publishing side of the industry works. And how important it is for artists to take it very, very seriously. The publishing companies that Gresham represented in South Africa were huge. It was like Fergie, Eminem, Black Eyed Peas, those artists were represented by Gresham Publishing. So, it was great to learn how that works as well. Because, I had no fucking idea before I went there how that was even a thing.
Yeah.
And, not many artists back then knew as well. I think artists right now are a lot more business savvy, and because it's that DIY mentality of the way they do things.
So let's talk about State Society.
Oh yeah, that band.
So what I haven't heard any of it before. Will I be able to hear some of it? Is it available anywhere?
Yeah, everything's on your Spotify's and Deezers and everything. We have quite a few music videos on YouTube. We had a very we had a very I don't know, it was meant to be fun, and it was. But we ended up taking it a bit too seriously, I think. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the guys I got to play with, Cliff, Mashant, Pietri, and Justin, were always friends with them. And but I honestly think that we were 5 years too late in how we sounded.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie. It's like we were. Whenever, because we did, we had a few tracks on radio, like the All Your Campus radio. We had stuff on Jacaranda and 947 at one point, and we were doing reasonably well for a band of honor. Like I said, I think we were just 5 years too late with our sound. And
how could a band be 5 years too fucking late? That sounds insane,
bro. When somebody once asked me, because we were on Mix FM every fucking month for some interview, and eventually when I got asked for the 100th time, what do you guys sound like? I just said we sound like the Parlotones B-sides.
Oh no, that's terrible.
Much love to Mix FM for supporting us like they did, because they really supported the shit out of us, and I'm very, very grateful for it. But yeah, you know what? The music was great. Cliff was an amazing songwriter, and the songs did well for what they were. But I feel like we also couldn't really find where we fit in because we were on some lineups with like your Dirty Moonshines and Jasper Dans and everything, which were a hell of a lot of fun to play. And we were the lightest band. And then the next thing we'd be asked to go play a metal fest down in Bloemfontein. And we do it because it's super fun.
Yeah.
But it was like you'd have these like metal guys. Like I'm a metal guy. I love metal. Yeah. Like these guys like in the crowd, like you'd have all their fucking girlfriends in the front dancing to us because we don't sound like all the other metal bands, and then the members in the back with their arms crossed, like what giving you that like they're like that impress me bro, impress me look. And it was fun. Like the metal shows I played were like my favorite shows to play. I loved them because I got to watch all my friends play as well. And I like the music.
Would you do it again?
Then we would play. Oh yeah, no. I'll definitely do it again. And but then we also played on like other festivals. We played on Oppikoppi twice.
Oh, okay.
We did Strab in Mozambique, which is like probably the best festival ever. We were definitely the most out there band there because it's a blues festival. So you'd have Black Cat Bones, Albert Frost, Justin Sorrell playing and everything.
So let me ask you this then. Oppikoppi, what is your take on Oppikoppi? Because
I love Oppikoppi.
I'll give you my opinion, right? And for what it's worth, people can shoot me down or whatever, but Oppikoppi to me has changed too much. Or had changed too much over the last couple of years. It became too much of a commercial vibe, where back in the day it was very much more rock and that sort of thing, the more edgier sort of side, but it's become too commercialized.
No, spot on with it. And I mean, I understand why they do it. Personally, I think it is probably one of the best festivals. If you can rough it out for 3 days like that, like I give it up to you because it is, it's rough. But when you're speaking more about the music that's there, I think they were very clever about it. And I know there are the naysayers who say, no, you must stick to the roots of rock and everything, and that it's an Afrikaans festival with rock and all of that. And I feel like they needed to diversify like everything does. And I know the guys from Koppi well, and I would give it up to them for doing it. I have not agreed with their lineups, to be completely honest, but I get why they do it.
They're changing with the times and the popularity, I guess.
The times.
And someone's got to bankroll this shit as well. So
this is the thing, it's people. I like to think that people do understand that it does. It's a business at the end of the day, and they, like organizers need to make money. If you want to carry on having cool shows, then you need to support them no matter what they're going through. Yeah, I don't think the heart of Oppikoppi will ever be lost at any Oppikoppi because they always do cater for the diehards, and they do so every year if it fits. And I really, really hope they come back even stronger. Like you can tell, I'm a big optimist. Like I believe that everyone will come back stronger if they put the work into it. Yeah. And but also it was, I had a change last year as Rockin' the Daisies I had never been to a Rockin' the Daisies before, and I went last year for work for the first time, but I've watched the lineups throughout the years. Yeah. And Rockin' the Daisies also went from like a cool, edgy indie rock festival to a commercial hip hop and dance festival. That's what it's turned into. Yeah. And I went there last year with a very open mind, thinking that it should still be indie rock or whatever. So it wasn't really open mind thinking that, like saying like, I wish I could have seen this when it was an indie rock festival because it's my personal taste. But I went there and I had an amazing time. I watched Youngster, Shoma Josie and Nasty C and Mante Rabane, and it was mind-blowing. Like it was just something so different. It was just such a happy festival. Yeah. And it's one of my top festival experiences I've ever had. I think that festivals have, in the eyes of promoters and eyes of festival organizers, has moved to a more, what is the best experience we can give to people that go to festivals? Yes, the music is important, but what's the experience they're going to have there? What other than music are they going to, take in and everything?
Good point. So solid point.
And I think that's where I give it up to like Robert who owns Ramfest and Craig from Jam Pack are doing really cool things, and obviously Duncan who Turning Tricks, who does Krank'd Up. They are doing
Patrick
they're
from
making
Metal
it
for
like,
Africa as well. Yeah.
yes, Patrick as well. I mean,
Yeah.
I have never been to a summer or winter fest, and this year was the year that I was going to change that, and then fucking COVID came. And
Okay, so
I will say,
COVID. Let's talk about COVID.
fuck COVID. Fuck COVID.
How was your booze level before they opened up the bottle stores?
Oh no, I had nothing. It's finished in the first week. But to be honest, I hardly had anything. No, actually, you know what? The booze thing hasn't really affected me. I mean, I love drinking. I love my beer. I love my my drafts. But you know, it was something like I was kind of like, well, if I can't go to a show or I can't like go watch a band, then I'm not really gonna drink. You know, like I might have had like one or two that were just like lying around around a fire, but I actually had a braai on the weekend with social distancing.
Just had to throw that in there in case there's any neighbors that are like, that wasn't social distancing.
But I had a braai with Fred from Rumours and then Ruan, who I work with from Brochella, and we didn't have anything because we didn't want to drive around with it. Yeah. So it was interesting.
So the South African Metal Music Awards 2019, you were part of the panel. What goes into that?
A hell of a lot of work. Holy shit. Fuck. Like after that, I didn't want to see another fucking Google form. No disrespect to Sash and Patrick, if you're listening, I do like the Google Forms, but there's a lot of it. No, it was actually awesome. It was my first time doing it last year, and I didn't anticipate the amount of like admin that goes into it and how much fucking work goes into it as well. Jeez. I'm a panel member again this year, so I know what I've gotten myself into.
Is it going to happen
year? No, it is happening. It is happening.
It is, okay.
I don't know when this is going on. I actually don't know whether I can actually say anything, but it is happening this year.
Oh, I've got a weak point, people. I can push now to get a date. Or a month at least.
Look, to be honest, I don't know any finer details. It's just we just putting together our choices from last year and everything. Because obviously, what we're judging this year is what's happened last year. Like in 2019, we judged what happened in 2018. And I mean, you know what I loved about it was actually because there's always so much happening, bands and everything, that when you go have to do the research, you actually like kind of rediscover little gems that came out where you listen to it for like a week and then the next thing came and you didn't really pay attention to it. And so yeah, it was fun, and I'm looking forward to this year and, you know, seeing what everybody's thoughts will be around it.
Yeah.
I know it's something that's taken a bit of a flack over the years, but I feel like it's at a point now where it's, you know, I think it's just that any genre that you work with, not just metal, any genre you work with, you're going to have people who don't agree with certain categories, certain awards, and, you know, certain winners.
For God's sakes, why can't people just enjoy the moment that they've, you know, the other bands have been voted for? Maybe not even one, but at least, you know, just enjoy the moment. Fuck.
Bro, you know what the thing is that it's you're never going to please everybody with anything you do, and it is what it is. And I mean, it's been going for a long time. Like I couldn't tell you how many years off the top of my head, but you know, it's been going for a long time, and I think that's why I'm like really proud to be a part of it, because it's something that has, you know, stood the test of time. It started years ago when it was started by Moose and Brandon, Moose from 11th Hour and Brandon, and they started it up, and then Sash and Patrick took it over, and yeah, it's really doing well, and I feel like it's at a point where it is a respected award in the scene, and that, you know, bands want to be a part of it.
Yeah, so they should. I mean, jeepers. I mean, we touched on it earlier. You said that the scene in South Africa is, I mean, fuck, there are so many awesome bands coming out of South Africa at the moment. It's ridiculous.
But there's shit tons. I think that what really highlights it at the moment, there's several things that actually, you know, for this lockdown period, which has really highlighted how great it is. I mean, the first thing is Gallows getting signed to Out of Line Music in Germany. It's just like it's next level, and I really, really think it's such a cool thing that I think mean, they've been going for like 13 years, and then to get the recognition after so long is just such a good thing.
Yeah.
Then I think what the release of Fangs, which is that compilation that Warren Gibson put together at Mongrel
Records,
is also like a testament to just the cool shit that's coming out of here. I mean, I listened to it on release day, and I was actually really like, I know all the bands on there. I know a bunch of those songs, but when you listen to it in a compilation format, you actually realize how good the tracks are and how good the bands are. And it's something like, I haven't heard a compilation of that quality come out in a few years, to be completely honest, where it was just such a good diverse mixture showing what the country has to offer. And I really hope it's a cool like business card for South African alternative music going forward for the rest of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, I haven't heard it yet. And that's how bad I've been.
No, bro, you must give it a listen. It's really got like a cool, diverse choice of bands, and they're like straight from like heavy sludge metal, like the Drift, to psychedelic rock with like Rough Magic.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so it's a nice it's a eclectic mix. Collection.
It's a mix. And then I mean, my favorite track on there is Savage Lucy's latest new track called Vagabond, which is amazing. So give it a listen, bro.
Okay, I will do.
It's really, really good.
I will do. Now I'm gonna finish off the conversation with Brochella and Lithium, because that's my line of interest mostly. So
that's when we first started talking.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, jeepers. I mean, when was that? That was 20. That was
last year. 26th of January 2019 was that show.
Fuck, how's your memory?
I remember the dates of the shows, Anything else, not really, but yeah. I actually don't really recollect that show too much either.
So that was the first time in how long that Lithium had been up in Joburg?
I think, it was something along those lines. I think it was about 8 or 9 years. I remember Dave saying something about them coming up 2010, 2011. And but it was, let's just say 8 years.
Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because of Lithium and my connection with them, and then you and the boys at Brochella bringing them up to Josie, I got to hear of Jasper Dan, Dirty Moonshine, and of course Deadline. And with that, and so I got turned on to their music, and with that was Devo. Now Devo's obviously doing a whole bunch of PR and events, or not events, but media and PR with a whole bunch of other bands that I've had the podcast with. So it just shows you how it can work if you network with everybody, like you were saying with the David Gresham and ETV, and then all of a sudden to Red Bull, It's just keeping in contact with everybody that and there's no pretentious bullshit. We're all just networking to be better and go for it.
No, exactly. And I think that's what's so cool about our scene, is that we're all very, very open to working with each other. I mean, Devo, fuck, I honestly cannot tell you where I met Devo first. Maybe he remembers, but Devo's always been there, and he's just always been a guy that I dig, and that he does cool shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, Devo took photos at my last Brochella event, Halloween event. He was the official photographer. So I mean, it's not only do we like work with each other in terms of like booking his bands, like I've also hired him as a photographer, and he's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's cool that you got to know like bands like Deadline, Dirty Moonshine, Jasper Dan from like that Lithium show, because that show was like, I really fanboyed out at that show. I'm not gonna lie, I fanboyed the fuck out at that show. So yeah. Because Lithium was the first band, local band album I ever bought the CD of.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
have you still got it?
Yeah, and I got it signed.
There you go.
I was that kid. So the first local show I ever went to was Lithium playing at fucking Grooteskier High School.
Whoa, fuck.
That was the first local. Actually, no, the first live show I ever went to was Lithium playing at Grooteskier High School.
Wow.
At one of these stupid fun fairs,
It
was awesome. I'll never forget that. And like, I actually waited at the front of the freaking stage to, Can
you remember the year? The date?
I honestly think it was 96.
Oh, fucking hell.
Like, dude, it was that long ago. I must have been like 11 or 12.
Wow.
And I remember the band that opened for them was a punk band called Birdhouse. It was also really, really
Jesus,
cool.
how do you remember this shit?
I just remember like lineups very well, and it's been
Wow.
since then. And I'll never forget, like, I took the CD with me to have them signed because they were playing at like 5 in the afternoon or something. It was like, and then the 18 thing. But Lithium was the first like local CD I ever bought, and the first event I ever went to was watching Lithium.
Wow.
So
There you go.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, Mike. Well, fucking hell. I mean, I feel like I could talk for fucking hours about this shit.
We actually probably could, but I don't want to bore people.
I actually want people to subscribe to the channel, not fall asleep listening.
Exactly, bro. Sorry, and I can talk. But
no, that's awesome, man. Listen, we'll get a beer at some point, and when we're allowed to socialize with people again.
Definitely, dude.
That Brochella puts on, whether it's down in Cape Town or Joburg or if you pull Lithium up again or something like that, then I'd like to be there that time.
You must come with if we bring them up again.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure we can organize something.
Awesome, dude. Thanks for the chat, bro.
What did I say to you last time? Next time that you bring Lithium up, make sure there's an extra seat for me.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. No, we will. The funny thing is I do want to. I really, really do want to. I want to see, hear the new stuff and everything. Because that show... And I can tell you this we actually made the most profit ever on a Brochella show was at the Lithium show. There
was some amazing bands on there as well. Jeepers.
It was a
solid lineup.
Great show.
Really good.
Yeah, it was great. So let's do it again.
Absolutely. Okay, Mike Pocock, Mr. Red Bull, Mr. Brochella. Oh, God, bloody hell, David Gresham. We didn't talk about Southern Pulse, but we'll get there. SAMMA 2019, SAMMA 2020. And State Society bassist player. There we go. Mike, thank you so much, man, for taking the time to chat. And good luck with Red Bull. And if there's anybody you want me to tag, everything will be in the description below. We'll chat after.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Okay, Mike. Thank you very much.
Cool, man.
All right.
Chat later, dude.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Bye.
Okay, bye.